Hey guys, welcome to my preview video for my senior project. Just an overview of what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be doing a couple preview videos where I talk about different chords and explaining basic theory of the chords, and we're going to be going into different keys. So the first video is going to be the keys of C and G, which are the most commonly used keys that I like to be using personally, but of course you'll use all keys. So we're going to, in the part 2, do the keys of E and A. So the things you'll need to know before starting these videos are the basics of piano. I would love to have a very introduction video for this, but unfortunately that is something that I don't have time to make for this in the depth that it deserves. But I will need you to know all of the notes on the piano, for instance, knowing that this is key F, and knowing that this is the key A flat or G sharp. And we'll be able to build our chords off of that knowledge. So if you don't know that quite yet, there's a lot of resources online that you can use to learn that, and come back to these videos once you learn those. So these are the keys that we're going to be learning in my videos: C, G, D, E, and A. And the principles of these chords can be applied to further learning in other songs that you'll be doing for the rest of your piano career, hopefully. And these can be building points off which you can learn any other song. Okay, so the basics of a chord. A chord is a triad, which is 3 notes in a given key, either major, happy, or minor, sad. Now, knowing your scales of all of these keys is going to be very helpful when you're learning the chords. Or you can learn the chords and memorize them, and then you'll learn the keys off of it. But I'd recommend personally learning your scales first. That's a C major scale, and I know that it hits all of the white keys on the piano, just like how I know that the E major chord scale has 4 sharps. But you don't necessarily need to know this for the chords. You can just memorize them once you learn each key. So as I said, a major key is happy, and a minor key is sad. And that major versus minor all has to do with the 3rd note in the chord. And if you want it to be happy, you keep it like this on the C, C, E, G, C, E, G. I prefer to use 1, 3, and 5 on both hands to do this chord because it feels very natural. And if you want to make it minor, you just take your 3rd finger and move it down 1/2 step to get E flat or D sharp. Major, minor. Nice. So that's a chord. In the key of C, there is 4 chords that you'll probably want to know, with the exception of a couple more, but I'm not going to go into those in this video. So we're going to start with the C major chord, which is going to be C, E, G, like I talked about earlier. Great. And our next chord is going to be the F major chord. F, A, C. And again, just using your 1, 3, and 5 fingers. Now, you're going to move it up 1 to go to G major, which is G, B, D. G, B, D. Now, this next one is going to be our first minor chord that we're going to be learning, A minor. And this will be identified on your music as a big A with a little m. If it doesn't have a little m, you can assume it's going to be a major chord. If it just says C, then it's going to be a C major. If it just says F, it's going to be an F major. If it just says a G, it's going to be a G major. And if it has just an A, it would be an A major, but we'll get to that in a little bit. If it has an A with a little m, you're going to play an A minor. A, C, E. A, C, E. you have your first key, the key of C. And there's a lot of songs in music that are in the key of C. Now for our next key, it's the key of G. We have already learned the chord G major from the key of C, so take your G, B, D, and that's your root note, which is number 1. Now, this is a tricky one that's just going to be used for the song Get Down in my videos. It's going to be an A major chord. A, C sharp, E. A, C sharp, E. And again, that's just for Get Down, but our next note is the 4 chord, which is a C major chord, which we already learned, C, E, G. C, E, G, C, E, G. And our next one is going to be a bit of a tricky new one. It's going to be a D major chord. D, F sharp, A, D major. Our next one is going to be the 6th chord, E minor, E, G, B. And notice how E minor and A minor from the key of C both sound sad. Remember that minor is sad and major is happy. That's how I think of it, at least. So E minor, E, G, B. Great, now you've just learned the key of G, which is G, A major, C major, D major, E minor. And notice how even when I just played that A major chord, for those of you who know the song Get Down, it sounds like Get Down. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. It's just one of my favorite songs, so I wanted to play it. Our next key I'm going to surprise you with is D. We're going to learn the key of D today as well. Now this one is going to be a bit trickier than the keys of C and G because we're starting on D. D, F sharp, A, which we learned in the key of G, so it's not super difficult. And this next note, the number 2 minor chord, which is going to be E minor, which we learned in the key of G, E, G, B. This note is going to be used in Peace Like a River. So just tuck out in the back of your brains for Peace Like a River. Now, our next note is going to be G chord, which is the 4 chord in this key. 1, 2, 3, 4. See? 1, 2, 3, 4. There's a little bit of theory for you. G major chord, which we learned quite a few times. G, B, D. And then A major chord, which we can remember from the key of G. A, C sharp, E, which is the 5 chord in the key of D. See? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And it's built off of that note. Now for our 6th chord, which is a minor chord, is going to be B minor. B minor has a different structure than all the other notes we've learned so far. And if you search for a B with your first finger, you're going to take a D with your 3rd finger, and you're going to take your 5th finger and go to an F sharp. Now some people like to do it with their 2nd finger and 4th finger, and depending on your hand size, your level of experience, just how your hand is like formed, it might be more comfortable for you to do 1, 2, 4. It might be more comfortable for you to do 1, 2, 5, 1, 3, 5, and I switch it around for different songs, so just know that when I'm practicing these songs. You can figure out what feels right to you and adjust in different songs what fingers to use. Now that's a lot of keys for one video. We've learned C, G, and D. Next video, we'll learn the keys of E and A, and then after that we can get into some music. Thanks for watching.